Hello, it's Paige Green at Paige Green's Tutoring, and today we're going to be looking at converting standard form into ordinary numbers. But before we do that, let's just have a quick think about what standard form is. Now, standard form is a way of writing really, really big numbers or really small numbers. So, for example, if we wanted to say what the distance to the Earth to the Sun was, we've got a very big number as shown here. That would obviously take a long time to write out, so that's why we use standard form to kind of write it a little bit of shorthand. In terms of the electron, it's a very, 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 very small number, as you can see there. And again, it would take us a long time to write out. So instead we use standard form to represent these really big numbers and really small numbers. Now here is an example of what standard form looks like. So the first part has to be a number between 1 and 10. So you can have a decimal there, that's absolutely fine. You couldn't have 0.4 because that's obviously less than 1, and you can't have any numbers that are bigger than 10. So you could have 9.99999, but you wouldn't be able to have 10. So it has to be between 1 and 10. And then the second part, you always put times 10, and then we have a power. So this part is written as a power of 10. So let's have a look at some examples of standard form and think about how we can write it as an ordinary number. So this is an example of how we write really large numbers. So if I have 3 times 10 to the power of 4, let's think about what that means. Now if I've got times 10 to the power of 4, it means that I'm timesing it by 10 4 times. So let's think about what happens. If I times 3 by 10 once, then twice, then 3 times, then 4 times. That is my ordinary number. That's a normal number we're kind of used to looking at, and it would be 30,000. Let's look at this next one. We've got 1.07 times 10 to the power of 6. So that means that we're timesing it by 10 6 times. Let's see what happens. Now if I times this by 10 once, I'm going to get 10.7. If I times it by 10 twice, I'm going to get 107, then 3 times, then 4 times, 5 times, and then 6 times. Now, a way of checking that you've definitely done this correctly is if you look at the numbers after your first digit, you should have the same amount of digits after your first digit as there is in the power. So, for example, this first one, there's 4 digits after the first number, which means that we might have done that correctly. And then here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 digits after that first number, which again shows us that we probably have done that one correctly. So could you pause the video and have a go at writing those two as an ordinary number? So this first one, you should have got 5 and then 6 zeros. So the 6 numbers after that first digit. For your second one, you should have got 1003 and then 2 more zeros. And if you check again, that's 5 numbers after that first digit. We're now going to have a look at how we write really, really small numbers. So the difference between the ones we just looked at and the ones we're looking at now, they have a negative power. Now all this means is instead of timesing by 10 3 times, for example, we're going to divide by 10 3 times. So let's have a look at what happens here. If I divide it by 10 once, I'd get 0.52. Twice would be 0.052, and 3 times would be 0.0052. Let's have a look at this next one. Now I've got times 10 to the power of negative 5, so it means I'm dividing by 10 5 times. So if I divide it by 10 once, I get 0.82. Twice, 3 times, 4 times, and then lastly 5 times, sorry. So here, how can we check that we've got correct? What is the trick? Now what you should be able to do is your number here, so your first digit, should be in the decimal place of the power. So see what I mean by this? Because I've got to the power of negative 3, means my first digit is going to be in the third decimal place. So not the first, not the second, the third. This one here again Let's have a look. Now my 8 should be in the 5th decimal place. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it is. So that's another way of checking it. So with the big numbers, we can double check it with how many digits are after the first digit. But with the small numbers, we can check by making sure our first number is in that decimal place. So could you now have a go at those two there? Pause the video and have a go. So for this first one, you should have got 0.0063, making sure that your 6 is in your 4th decimal place. This one here, you should have got 0.00526, making sure your 5 is in the 3rd decimal place. So what I would like you to do now, just as a little bit of practice to finish off with, could you have a go at those 4 questions? Once you're ready to give those a mark, press play. Okay, so for this one here, you should have got this. So again, 4 digits after the first one, so I can check that. This one here, so you've got 735 with 5 zeros, and again 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 numbers after that first digit as a check. Now my small numbers, you should have got, making sure that my 4 is in the 5th decimal place, and then this one here, again making sure that that 2 is in the 7th decimal place. So hopefully that's helped you to understand how we convert from standard form to ordinary numbers. In the next video, we'll be looking at how we convert from ordinary numbers to standard form. So if you'd like to know about that, please watch that next video. But thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.